Hi guys, it's Kimberly Cox from the Neuro Circus. I am doing day 7 of the 21-day YouTube challenge by Neurodivergent Mom. So today's prompt was talking about either autistic shutdown or burnout of any sort. And if I've ever experienced it and what did it feel like and all of that. So I would say that I've had my moments, definitely, where living in sort of an ADHD burnout was definitely a thing. And I think a lot of times it's when the novelty in something wears off, but then you feel committed to it because you wanted to do it at one point. So then you try to push yourself to do it harder and more and to just keep going, because for some reason we think if we push ourselves that on the other end of things we're going to come out and be able to just keep going. And I think that that is part of the problem with burnout and things like that. One of the things that I've learned recently in dealing with some of that kind of stuff is a thing that I like to call passion cycling. And so what that means is I always, well, not always, but usually I come back to the same few things, okay? But sometimes I will get to a place where I just can't work on that particular project right now. It's not fun. There's stuff that I need to do that I can't possibly in my head figure out how to do right now. I don't have the energy for it. I don't have there's something that I'm lacking and I cannot move it forward. So when that happens, it gets frustrating, and then you don't want to continue on it because you don't feel like you're going to get anywhere on it. So in passion cycling, what I found is if I can take any of these projects a little bit of the way down the road, and then before I get to burnout, that's the hard part. Before I get to burnout, I can stop myself and I can set it down right where it's at, knowing full well I'm going to come back to it and pick it back up right from where it's at, and then go find a different one to move a little bit forward. And that keeps the novelty of things going. It keeps things kind of going so that we're not just stuck doing the same thing all the time. And because I know this about myself, the other part that I can do is I can kind of give myself okay, we're going to do 2 weeks of this project and we're going to try to take it a month down the road. So we're going to try to plan for a month's worth of, a lot of it for mine, a lot of it deals with business and things like that. So I'm going to create a month's worth of content on Facebook, a month's worth of content on whatever, TikTok and Instagram and whatever. And I'm going to work on those things and I'm going to push it forward so that then I can schedule that stuff out and it's still going forward if I can make it that way. And then I can work on something else. And then when I come back around, I can pick this back up and work on it and push it forward a little bit. And it doesn't always work out. Sometimes it does not work out at all like that. But that's kind of it's one of my things where I'm like, okay, well, if we can get this far on this, then, I guess in my way of thinking of it, it makes it feel more like it's got a purpose. And if it has a purpose, then there's more of a reason to do it. And it keeps me from getting burned out as fast. Some of the things that I have done during burnout, absolutely nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. Like, bare minimum, feed kids, wash clothes, wash dishes, take garbage out. Pretty much that's it. And I try not to allow myself to get to that point. So I try to make sure, like I said, that I'm stopping, that if I feel like I'm getting to that point, I pull out, I pull away so that I'm doing something else. Doing something that's creative and something that's fun can sometimes snap me out of it quickly to where I'm not having to go through a full long-term burnout. And a lot of what I do when I'm in burnout, I've noticed, is a lot of deep personal development, a lot of journaling, a lot of working through limiting beliefs and things like that. And it's almost as if I go as far as I can in things and then I hit a wall, which is a limiting belief or some type of, something that I need to work through on a personal, spiritual, mental level. And once I work through that, it's like a weight's been lifted, and then I'm able to move forward on other stuff. So giving yourself the space to work through problems, giving yourself things, preparing for it beforehand, okay? Always having a day or two's worth of quick and easy meals, where if it just hits you all of the sudden, you don't have to try to figure out how to function in a day like that. You already have that planned. And that allows you to take that time that you need to rest, to relax, to work through things, to do all of that so that you can come out of it faster than it hitting you, and then you start to spiral because now you've got all these thoughts going through your head and you still have all these things that need to be done that you haven't figured out how to do them and you don't have the energy for it. So if you just prepare for it in advance, that helps a ton. Also, not everybody's going to understand, but the people who are closest to you, try to explain to them what is going on if you can. Try to talk to them, try to tell them, we always talk about the spoon theory of, you're given so many spoons and that's your energy for the day, and different things take different amounts of spoons, and sometimes the same thing can take a different amount of spoons depending on the day. So sometimes if it's like some days I am fine, I can get up, I can do what I need to do, I can make phone calls, I can be fine. There are other days that I will just sit and stare at stuff because it just feels too daunting and too hard, and I can't even figure out how to start it, let alone continue to get all of it done. And so it takes a moment where you have to explain to the people who are closest to you that, I just don't have any more mental energy at the moment. I don't have any more mental energy to work through something. I don't have enough mental energy to figure out the steps I need to take to clean my kitchen. I don't have, all of the things, because again, for those of us with neurodivergent brains, a lot of times executive functioning skills are what is hit hardest. So planning, knowing that, okay, there's 7 different steps in something, for instance, and maybe in our heads we're only thinking of 2, and then we realize that there's more and we didn't prepare enough time, or we did them out of order, and now all of a sudden, wait a minute, this isn't right, and then we get frustrated with ourselves. So coming from a place of being able to tell people, explain to people how things are going, so that then on the flip side of things, you maybe have some help, or at least don't have to feel so guilty and so, judged and things like that. You can feel like, okay, there's a reason I'm like this. This has nothing to do with, I'm not lazy. I literally do not have the energy to think this through. One other thing that I have done for myself before, I have created super easy ways of doing things. So for instance, if I really need to get dishes done because, we have no more, I will, trick myself. Okay, you just do 10 dishes. Rinse off 10 dishes, get them in the dishwasher. Then you can take a break and then, do 10 more later. And then once we get them all in the dishwasher, we can start it, and then the dishes will be clean at least. And giving myself that little, like, okay, we don't have to do the whole thing. We don't have to do all 75 dishes at one time. We can do 10, and then we can do another 10, and then another 10. But sometimes, and a lot of times, what happens is we'll get going on it, and then we'll just decide, I might as well go until it's filled. And then once it's filled up sufficiently, I'll start it. And then we feel accomplished, like we've actually gotten something done. And that may not give us all of the energy to tackle everything else on our to-do list, but it will give us the energy we need to maybe tackle some of the, I need to work through this feeling, or I need to do this, kind of journaling or whatever, and that'll help us to come out of it too. So I hope that helped. I hope that somebody, can, take some of the tips from this. If you have any questions, if you have any tips yourself for coming out of burnout, drop them in the comments. And this is day 7. And this is also World Autism Day. So happy World Autism Day. I'm Kimberly Cox. This is the Neuro Circus, and I will talk to you guys later.